Good afternoon, everyone. This is Elaine Groman on Earth Wisdom Circles on Empower Radio. Today, I have the extraordinary opportunity to have three guests that are working together globally to help to bring such important information that is so necessary for our human evolution. And our very special guest is Grandmother Flordemayo, who I've had the pleasure of meeting and have had her on the show several times. And it's always an honor to speak with you, Grandmother Flordemayo. So I would like, if you would be kind enough to begin with a blessing or a prayer, whatever you would choose, and then we'll start our conversation. Thank you.
Beloved Creator, beloved Mother, Heart of the Earth, beloved Father, Heart of the Heavens, thank you. Grandmothers of the Four Directions, thank you. Beloved Spirit of our sacred elements, fire, wind, water, earth, thank you. Ancestors of each and every one of us in the Four Directions, Spirit of all of the sacred mountains around the globe, sacred volcanoes, beloved Creator, sacred waters, the holy waters, the bitter waters, the sweet waters, the salty waters. Beloved Creator, thank you. On this sacred day, beloved Beauty, we ask for your blessings to help us to remember that we are children of the heavens and the earth. We are children of these sacred elements. We are children that need to protect all that is around us. In the name of all of this, beloved Beauty, I thank you. And I thank each and every one of you for being here on this sacred day. Much blessings of love and light. Thank you.
Thank you, Grandmother Flordemayo. Today we will be speaking about a very important 5-day virtual event that is an important conversation with Grandmother Flordemayo and Unci Rita Long Visitor Holy Dance of the Lakota people, both women who have been the original members of the International Council of Grandmothers. And so, Grandmother Flordemayo, would you kindly share with us what this vision is of the new awakening and what it is that you feel we need to know as human beings?
I have spoken for quite some time that humanity is at a crossroads. And when my friend and myself, Unci Rita, when we have spoken on the phone, which has been very often, she's in South Dakota and I'm here in New Mexico, and we would talk about everyday stuff, what we're doing, what we're cooking, are we making anything, things of that nature, especially in this time of pandemic. It seemed like this period of time has brought us even closer. And so we have spoken about the first time that we met, And the beauty of it is that my grandmother's sister is 96 years old and I'm in my 70s, but we have so much in common because she was raised in South Dakota and I was raised in Central America. And so there is so much that we share about our everyday lives and how things were in the past. And so our conversations varied from watering the garden to taking care of babies or, bringing in other babies to the house to take care of, all kinds of things. Emergencies that we might have had in our lives and things that we did. But the biggest thing about this conversation is that we want to encourage everyone to keep the prayers going. The Grandmothers Council came together to bring people into circle of prayers. And we talk about this often, the places that we've been, the people that we met. And it's in our DNA as grandmothers right now to remind the people that prayer is not just for a handful of grandmothers and grandfathers, that prayer is something that we, as a human race, that we do in our own language, in our own way. But we are in such a state of crisis that we have a phrase that the grandmothers say, and the phrase is, prayer is all that we have right now. And so we would like to remind people, reawaken people into the thought that if they're having a difficult time, that going into prayer is a good thing. And so we're going to talk about prayer. We're going to do prayer. And it's going to be a conversation between friends, just like Unci and myself have gotten together over the phone. Many of the times we've had our pajamas on when we spoke. And so that's kind of the topic, and the theme is for us to be comfortable in whatever way that we can, and not worrying about whether we have our prayer bundle, not worrying about, whether we're in a sacred site, but being spontaneous about our prayer, doing it in the best way that we can. And so this is the beginning of what we thought coming together would be. However, the coming together is like a desire between friends, and we would remind each other, wouldn't it be sweet if we were like neighbors? Like, wouldn't it be sweet if you were like next door and I could just walk over in my pajamas and my cup of coffee, and we could look at each other heart to heart and eyes to eyes and laugh at all the things that we talk about. Because the majority of the things that we talk about are life experiences, and whether it was hard or sweet, we bring laughter into our conversation. And so at our age, I feel that it's imperative that we stop, looking, how should I say, unhappy, and be in the moment. And also, we talked a lot about what would we talk about if we got together physically? And so this was like a constant dream that we had for a couple of years. And so the biggest thing was getting together physically. And I volunteered many times to come up to South Dakota. And then we decided that that Unci wanted to be under the sunshine and under the blue sky and in a place that's a little bit warmer, you know. And so we said, okay, let's dream that. And this is where I mentioned to Heather about the dreams that Unci and I had of getting together, and just encouraging all of the listeners, male and female, and remind them of the beauty of the moment, and remind them of how to reconnect with prayer. That's like a big thing. We have to surrender, reconnect, and embrace the Creator again and again and again, and not get caught up in the difficulties, because we have to move on, And so
Grandmother Flordemayo, thank you for that. May I ask you a question? That, so many of our listeners maybe have their own perception of what prayer means from maybe their own religious background. But I think that in my experience with you, the way that you pray is so beautiful. It's a conversation. It's not a rote, memorized thing. And there is such a different life to it. Can you speak to that, what prayer means to you, and how prayer, when it's spoken with, not with openness as you're speaking about conversation, having a conversation with Creator and Mother Life, rather than it being something that is quote unquote like penance. You understand what I'm saying? Tell me about your thoughts about that, would you please?
The way that I pray is, first of all, just practicing the silence. And as I practice the silence, I also go into a place of absolute oneness and stillness. And I close my eyes. But when I close my eyes, from the moment that I have been born, my memories have been that when I close my eyes, I see different things like beautiful color. I sometimes hear like beautiful sound. And if I am with other people, I sometimes see their imaging in color. And it is like a rainbow color. And so the majority of the time, what I see is like the beginning of a white light. And so I embrace the light as the Mother, Father, Creator. And so that's the beginning of my prayer. I was not raised with the knowledge of a church, and the reason for that is that when I was born, my father passed away when I was 2 years old, and my mom was left as a single mom with with a lot of children. And so we did not have money. This is the way my mom explained it to me. We didn't have the money to support the church. And so we never attended the church. So I did not know how to pray like the way that we're taught in the church. So the best way of prayer that I learned with my mother was to just, and when I say just, meaning going into stillness, going into silence, and just allowing yourself to experience the light. And so when I experience the light, I start and I acknowledge it as a mother, father, creator.
That
And
is
so,
so.
and so my dialogue starts that in that direction. And then as soon as I do that, my voice starts to change the light. And so different things come in and I acknowledge different things. And that's that. My prayers are totally different. Even if I say 10 prayers 10 times a day publicly, they're all different.
Yes. What is so beautiful is, and again, I can only speak from my very limited understanding and time that I've been so grateful to be with you, is that I feel this expansiveness within myself when I hear you pray, that opens that possibility within myself to pray and acknowledge what is. You know, when we acknowledge what is, instead of trying to acknowledge what we want, then we can watch life unfold.
Absolutely.
And that's beautiful. So, can you tell us about the vision for this wonderful 5-day event called The New Awakening?
We have certain topics, and we're going to go into the depth of the topics according to the way that Unci has been raised, and according to the way that I've been raised, and encourage people um, to come in their own way, and and allow that to awaken within you.
Mhm. So, Heather, Heather is immediately below Grandmother Flordemayo on the screen for those of you you're looking at the screen, because there will be some that are just listening to the audio version. Thank you very much, Grandmother Flordemayo, for that. Heather and Kim Langberger, who have worked collaboratively over the years to help to bring the beauty and the wisdom of the Indigenous elders around the world to a greater listening audience because of the impact that they have. So, Heather, could you share a little bit about what you do and a little bit more about this 5-day event, please?
Sure. I'm Grandmother Flordemayo's oldest child and only daughter. And for the last few years, I've been helping my mom. I would say I'm her glorified assistant. Um, so maybe the family's administrative assistant, which I really enjoy. But my mom came to me not too many weeks ago. I felt like everything aligned where we were able to find a window of time that worked for mom, worked for Unci, and Unci travels with her son Nathan, who takes such good care of his mom. And I know that you were with us, Elaine, over at the Gathering for Humanity, and Kim was there. And Kim, we've known she's known mom for over 20 years. I've known Kim for like 10 years now. Um, and they're in Santa Fe. Um, so when mom and Unchi came with this window of time, and really it's around them literally having a pajama party. I got them matching pajamas, like 7 pairs. Different colors, and we have like different prayer shawls that match. I mean, it's kind of a fun little thing that we're doing. we had to find a safe environment given the circumstances at Pine Ridge, which some people that haven't visited a pueblo or reservation, and Kim could more about this. There's a lot of poverty, and one of the elements of it is we're doing a little fundraiser that hopes to give some money to the elders, Mom and Unci, to use as they need. I know Unci's got a hole in her trailer, and she would like to get that fixed. So then I said, well, let's do this as a 5-day event. And Unci and Mom guided the topics that we're doing. So we have prayer, peace, enlightenment, wisdom. I'm trying to see if I'm missing. Oh, and friendship. So each day will have a certain theme. We made it elderly friendly. So it's like 10 to noon. So it's my mom shines brightest at noon. So it's in that respect, it's kind of elderly friendly. We're recording it. So if you can't attend it in person, I think it also helps reach the audiences abroad in Europe. So we kind of thought of every aspect, I feel like. And Kim really helps out a lot with, I'll kind of dream it after the grandmothers tell me what to do. And then we have to manifest it, which is a lot of work to go into setting up these online events. And I think some people don't realize the amount of work or the expense on the back end to put a virtual or this is partially in person, because we're also going to be doing a full moon ceremony. We're going to be doing a sunrise ceremony for the equinox. So there's a lot of moving parts, and I needed the best. So that's where we reached out to Kim. So
thank you.
Well,
no pressure. No pressure.
Yeah.
So thank you, Heather, for that explanation. And Kim, welcome to the show again. And could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and the foundation that as Heather just said, that you've known Grandmother Flordemayo for 20 years, and the depth of integrity with which you work is so important.
Well, thank you,
Speaks
Elaine.
to who you are.
Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. Well, as Heather said, I have known Grandmother for many years. I had an organization that I started in 1999 called Journey to the Heart, and we used to host a gathering, and it was called The Gathering. That was very creative on our part. And we brought Indigenous tribal leaders and elders and wisdom keepers together for many years in Southern California. And Grandmother was one of the first elders when we moved it from a different location into Big Bear. And so I have known her for many, many years and have been really blessed to, now that I live in New Mexico, we're sort of, as they say in the South, just down the road a piece from each other. So I have long since shuttered both of those organizations and started working for Sacred Fire Foundation in 2019 as the executive director. And Sacred Fire Foundation is an international organization that works to be a bridge between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people through our events, through our offerings. We have a funding program that works with organizations and initiatives around the world, supporting things like the revitalization of language and ceremony and ritual. So it's a really humbling opportunity for us to be able to serve as that bridge. And we've just started a fund that is basically a no questions asked funding opportunity for anyone to come to us, Indigenous people that may need to attend a ceremony or go to the UN and advocate for themselves. And our first recipient was actually an elder, which Grandmother has met. She doesn't know this story yet, but an elder that we worked with in 2004 named Donna Augustine. And I haven't spoken to Donna for many years, but she is actually traveling. She left on Thursday, the 9th, traveling to Harvard to reclaim the ancestors that Harvard has had and bring them back to be buried in their ancestral homeland. So
Oh,
that was
wow.
our first recip. And it's a very powerful and humbling experience that we are being able to serve as that bridge for her to be able to do that, because she's worked for many years. So I feel like this is in a really extraordinary time to be in service. And you know, my friendship and my love for Grandmother and Heather always puts me in a place of, how can I serve? That's always the question. And so this has been a really joyful opportunity for us to collaborate. You know, I think Grandmother and Heather and their organization, The Path, has been really part of the forefront of organizations understanding that you can't do it all. They've always been a very collaborative organization. They've always been wanting to form alliances and partnerships to be able to share these messages in a way that's impactful and reaches more people. If you stay in your little silo, then these important teachings and offerings don't reach people who are really longing, I think, for this kind of connection and this kind of community. So for me, I'm just really grateful that they reach
Thank
out
you.
and that we can work together like this.
Thank
So,
you. Thank
yeah.
you. Grandmother Flordemayo, you know, you said in your beautiful prayer that, you know, we're in a time that we're really in dire straits because, and I'm paraphrasing what you said, but, you know, we've created so many of these problems ourselves. So can you speak to, you know, where you think we are as human beings in our own spiritual awakening, to use the beautiful, perfect phrasing of New Awakening? Where do we need to go? What do we need to release? Where do we need to see ourselves in a fresh way?
That is an incredibly huge question.
It is.
My,
I'm sorry I do that to you.
my thinking went into the four directions immediately, and how do you focus on one thing?
Yes.
Um,
My
the
apologies.
no, it's all good, Elaine, and I'm going to focus on one thing.
Please.
Not too long ago, a couple of months ago, and I'm also going to backtrack. You know,
Please.
before COVID, I was told and I was shown in a vision that hard times are coming and we better be prepared. And of course, in the vision, I was unprepared. And so I started sharing it with the world that we have to prepare ourselves. And so a lot of the times I think of the prophecies of my ancestors, the Maya, and the Maya have been speaking and walking. These are like physical sacred journeys, walking from one place to another. And I'm not talking about from one mountain peak to the other, but I'm talking about, you know, walking from Central America into South America, or from Mexico into Central America, which is quite the distance, you know, from Mexico to the edge of Colombia. So in the prophecy, we have been told that in fact, the prophecy says it like this. It says, awaken, awaken, the dawn is here. In other words, the moment is within our lifetime. Awaken, awaken, the dawn is here. Not one or another shall be left behind. In other words, it's going to affect each and every one of us. And then the other part of the prophecy says to us, we need to come together like the 5 fingers in a hand. In other words, if we don't come together like the 5 fingers, we're not going to accomplish anything, because the hand, cannot do anything with just the thumb. It can't do anything with just the pinky. It can't even do anything with 2 fingers. So, you have to be able to grasp your reality, in a good, thoughtful way. And so I think of the prophecy, and in my mind, I think of all different scenarios of what is it talking about. And my teacher's teacher, Don Adrian, which I met in the 70s, I remember him very vividly talking about that. When I was in India, we were told by different scholars that Mahatma Gandhi in the 40s started lecturing to the people in India on how it was imperative to take care of Mother Ganji because she was polluted. And so we have been reminded, we have been told, things have been written, voices have been spoken, elders have traveled. And so, we have, our elders have done a lot of this. And for those of us that have heard it, has also taken a responsibility in sharing it. So right now, we're at a crossroads. And are we prepared? Are we prepared to survive? And what is our survival skills? And what is it that we need to survive? I mean, these are incredible, incredible questions.
Yes.
And the other thing is that a few months ago, I had a vision where I was taken into this place that I did not know, and certainly it does not exist in this earthly plane. And I was told by holy beings that myself and a group of other people, which were hundreds and thousands of people, we were brought into this huge place like an arena. And what the message was from these holy beings is that they are in gratitude, and they wanted to acknowledge that it's good that humanity is praying, that they want to thank us for our prayers, because our prayers, everybody's prayers around the globe, has helped us to move into the next dimension. And that to me was the most incredible confirmation from that sacred place, where they are communicating with us and acknowledging that prayer is important. So I keep talking about it and saying, hey, it's important.
Yes. Thank you. And as I'm listening to you and other grandmothers and other elders, it's so profound that we have lost our awareness because of our own arrogance, truly, I believe, that what is supporting our lives, we have dismissed. We have dismissed that, our body, we forget to care for our body. Well, the only way we can have a life is because we have a body. And the wisdom of Mother Life and Creator has all the intricacies already in place that we don't know how to make. I always say to people, we don't even know how to make one single fingernail. And we take it for granted. We don't realize how much has happened so that life can not only continue, but flourish. And I think that that's the beauty that you bring so in your being, your presence, that simplicity is not simple. But simplicity is life, because there's a complexity to life that makes it appear simple because it's so effortless and how creation is designed. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's so beautiful. We don't know how it works, but we need to respect that it does. Where do you think that we need to, not need to, we have an opportunity to. I always try to correct myself. We don't need to do anything because that's a directive. But we do have an opportunity to recognize what's available within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally want to thank you, Grandmother Flordemayo, for offering this beauty and your wisdom, along with Grandmother Unci, Rita, Long to Visit Her Holy Dance, and all the grandmothers and elders around the world. What do you think is the single thing that is inhibiting us the most? Is it our thoughts? Is it our cultural belief systems that we have put in place? Or what do you think is our big roadblock?
I feel that it's our human selfishness.
Mm.
And the reason that I'm saying that is that when I hear my elders speaking throughout my life, the biggest thing that they spoke about and are still speaking is the future generations. If it had not been for the commitments that our ancestors have made, I would not be doing what I'm doing. And so they had always had that in mind. What am I doing right now for the babies of the future? And there is a gesture within the women of Central America that when they speak of the future generations, and this beautiful, beautiful physical gesture is like a posture, and it is a posture. And what the posture is, that taking the hands, the open hands like that, and embracing the womb, their womb, and they say, what is it that I need to do for the future generation? Meaning my generations, my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. And it's very, very imperative that it becomes a moment where you're not thinking about yourself, but you're thinking, what is it that I can do 5 generations down the road to embrace what we have right now and not allow it to disappear for those babies?
Yes.
Or are we ready to go into a life that is absolutely animated? And I have the authority to speak like this because when the Grandmothers Council was at the Vatican, I had a vision. And the vision that I had, which was, in my understanding, a horrific vision. And what the horror of it was that the babies of the future, the human babies, would be raised by robots. And it just frightened me. And the reason that it frightened me was because the babies were crying and the robots are stiff and cold, and they could not cuddle these human babies, and the babies were suffering from just the warmth of arms and breast and the sound of the heartbeat. And it was just so disturbing. as a grandmother to see that. And so I feel that I have the authority to speak about this, because where are we going with this? And what is it going to happen to the human race if we, as little bitty babies, can't even feel the cuddling of another human being or the voice? Where is that going to take us?
Thank you for that, Grandmother. And you most certainly an embodiment of that authority in everything you do. And my impression as you were saying that is, and I'm not in any way trying to interpret, I'm just trying to say what came into my mind as you said what you said, is that we have separated ourselves from ourselves, that whether it's through a denomination, a religious belief, a cultural belief, that has so separated us that we have been taught to disavow half of humanity. The nurturers, the mothers, the women. And no male on this planet can give birth. No male on this planet has a body capable of sustaining the life of another human being in this mysterious, beautiful milk of life. And I think that we have to remember how to embrace that beauty, that we did not create anything, but everything is here for us to engage with in the most helpful and healing of ways. If we just disavow the vows we may have taken unwittingly, you know?
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you for having that and holding that authority with such integrity and joy and love and cuteness, because you are cute. And we always have to have humor, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. If it isn't fun, I don't want to do it. Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you. So either Heather or Kim, would you be willing, can you speak about how people might, or how people can go about registering for this, and what is your procedure that you would like them to do? Because I know that they have to register separately, or, you know, based upon their time frame. Thank you. Excuse me for digressing from you.
Do you want me to talk a little bit, Kim, and then I'll have you share? Yeah.
Thank you.
So I have to apologize ahead of time, because some people might know an easier way than the way I set up the Zoom. But what we did is we tried to set it up so each day is a separate registration and it has a separate theme. So you do have to register, and we'll have the link available. You can go to the Path website, and there's all the information about the themes of the day, what day it is on the Mayan calendar. But you do need to register per day. It's $40 per day. So the entire event would be $200. We do have some people inquiring on scholarships. And we have also what we're calling an elder fund, where you're able to donate. And there's some underlying expenses, as you can imagine, but many of us are donating our time. Both Kim and I, our organizations, the Path, Sacred Fire Foundation, are all coming behind it, and with our teams and helping to promote it and everything like that. And then we have where the Elder Fund will come in, is we're hoping to generate, income to give to Unci and to Mom, many events that I think a lot of people, and I could have Kim kind of speak to it a little bit more, is there is an energy exchange. And I think often some people, when you think about $40 a day, spending it with two of the founding members of the International Council of 13 Grandmothers, collectively, they have almost 200 years of wisdom. You have
Yeah.
and one thing that Mom has said when she was traveling with the grandmothers, was it 800 years, Mom, or 900 years of feminine wisdom that you guys had shared
Right.
together. And, I think that this is a once in a lifetime event, that you're going to be with these two women that are such good friends, that just love each other. That I hope people will take the opportunity to register for a day, register for the entire event, and even sharing it within their communities. And we've made it accessible that if you can't join it live, because you're not available, you might be working or in a different time zone, you do get the recording. And Kim's going to be the moderator on the calls, and I'll kind of be behind the scenes running it and stuff like that. And I really think that the friendship that my mom and Unci have is just something, that you want to be there and be part of. And I think the wisdom that they're going to share is really sweet. And one of the things Mom was sharing with me yesterday, and Kim, you're going to love this. Unci was making herself new dresses. She was sewing them.
Oh,
And
that's so sweet.
And I think she still does her own beading, right? Mom makes her own jewelry, her and Nathan.
Right. The beauty of and the story, and this is going to capture many, many hearts, is that she had not used her sewing machine for quite some time. And when she went to get her sewing machine going, because she wanted to have new dresses for the ceremonies that we're going to do, that the sewing machine was not working. It had, something had happened. And so she decided that she was going to cut 3 dresses and sew them by hand.
Oh,
So when I spoke to her a few days ago, just kind of saying, good morning, how are you feeling? And so she said, oh, I woke up this morning and my left thumb is really, really hurting. And so I kind of said, gee, I'm so sorry. I hope it feels better. And she said, well, it could be that it's hurting because I just finished my 3rd dress.
oh my goodness.
So then I inquired and said, what happened? Did you use the machine? She said, no, I cut the pattern all by hand and I sewed all 3 of them by hand. And then I just said, Unci, you deserve an award for your 3 dresses by hand. Oh my gosh, they must be so, so beautiful. So we laughed and we talked about it. And I even said to her, what kind of award would you like? Because I'm going to have it for you.
Oh, that is so precious.
But that's so, I mean, who is going to be doing that, right?
Mhm.
Except Unci.
But it looks so regal too. When she goes,
yeah.
I mean, she is dressed to the nines, right, Kim? For
Yes.
the Gathering for Humanity, and she's funny. And she is as sharp as a tack. For being an elder, she really remembers and recalls everything. And the wisdom she has, I think, I don't know, Kim, do you have anything else to say? You've spent a lot of time with Unci and Nathan.
Well, I think you touched on something, Heather, that is really crucial. And I would imagine that Grandmother would, in our conversations, we've talked about this, is that this part of the prophecies that are being shared is that this is really a time for us to come into balance between the masculine and the feminine, and being able to receive these teachings and to be in the presence of these women is, I think, almost like salve for the wound, and to help us to have an understanding of what that means. What does it mean to come back into balance, to really have that understanding? Because it has the effect of between men and women, but also the earth, to understand how we live in balance with our mother. I also just wanted to make sure that people can get to the new awakening and learn more through followthegoldenpath.org, which is Grandmother Flordemayo's website, but also through Facebook and Instagram, both Sacred Fire Foundation and The Path and Love and Light, which is another part of what Grandmother's work is about, have links, excuse me, have links on our social media pages as well. So you can find it in a couple of different ways.
Yes, and it will also be on the links for both of these this conversation, both in the audio version and the video version. So people will have that, and I'll certainly continue to put it on my Facebook. But I want to speak to what you just said, Kim, is, how beautiful it is to have observed personally Nathan protecting his mother as a wisdom keeper, and the love and the respect of a son for his mother, and that position that she holds, which is just, that really, that touches me deeply. We need to remember that the sons need to learn how to be sons, and the husbands need to learn how to be husbands, and the men, not that they have been, the concept of themselves has been so distorted. And there's a healing for men that is so important, that they can really be their most authentic, loving, playful, curious, not having to have all the right answers selves, which I would think would release a huge burden, because people get awfully angry when they have to pretend that they know something they don't. And certainly I imagine Grandmother Flordemayo can see right through it a mile away, if not centuries away. But that's what we need to let people know. It's okay to not know.
Yeah.
Because when you don't know, then you're open to everything.
Yeah.
But if you espouse that you know something, boy, your focus has just been so narrowed. Thank you, Grandmother Flordemayo. We have about 4 more minutes left. And so, would you like to continue with this conversation, or to conclude with a prayer? I know that whatever you do is right. Perfect.
It's this is an opportunity in our lifetime to come and to listen to 2 dear friends on our journey of life, and all of the things that we have learned. And the learning has come through a lot of hardship. And it's to remind everyone that life is not meant to be easy, It's meant for us to learn. When I think about just the thought of Unci making the dresses, when I think about that, and of course I'm going to go into depth, I'm going to ask her about how did she make, where did her pattern making come from? Because it's important. She just kind of said very quickly, "Oh, I just, cut the dress out." So, Unci, can you tell me, how did you just cut the dress out? But, this is the beauty that we, as a modern humanity right now, if we have an emergency, and this in her mind was, she wanted to look good. She wanted new dresses. And where are you going to go get traditional dresses, So if she couldn't make it with the machine, she made them by hand. And so these are the valuable gifts that we learned as young girls, but they came through some hardship. I mean, you don't just learn something like this, from whatever, so it's an incredible exchange of everyday life and how we conquer these things, and to encourage, the future generations that, you can do it, it could be done.
Yes. In the last 2 minutes, Grandmother Flordemayo, would you conclude with a prayer, please?
Thank you. Beloved beauty, beloved creator, thank you. Thank you in the name of all of the sacredness. Thank you in the name of all of the beauty that is constantly around us, the seen and the unseen, the light and the obscure, beloved creator. As we walk through these veils of reality, beloved beauty, I thank you. On this sacred day, beloved creator, in this day in which we're planning for friends to come together, and this is friends from all directions, beloved creator. We started with 2 friends, but we're inviting everyone to become one gathering of friendship. In the name of the beauty of friendship and love, beloved creator, I thank you on this sacred day. Let it be so that each and every one of us receives something that we are looking for in this beautiful, beautiful gathering of the new awakening. Thank you, beloved Mother, Father. Thank you, Spirit of all of our ancestors. Thank you, Grandmothers of the 4 Directions. Thank you to each and every one of you. Much love and light. Thank you.
Thank you, Grandmother Flordemayo. Our time is done for this conversation, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for always being willing to give of your time and your wisdom and your just incredible blessings that you offer to everyone so effortlessly. And thank you to Heather for reaching out and telling me about this, and Kim. And I encourage everyone to please follow the links that are on the broadcast and in the media, social media, to be a part of this conversation, to be sitting at the feet of these 2 elders and learn how to laugh and appreciate life and what's really important. So I thank you all very much. This is Elaine Groman on Earth Wisdom Circles on Empower Radio. You're more important and more capable than you realize. Please go out and make it a good day.